guys, and welcome back to my channel. Alright, so we are back with the second part to my intermediate section to the how to read your birth chart. Okay, so it's just those few videos that I've been working on currently. I did have a week, I had about a week off from recording there, and I'm just gonna say here that that week that just passed, that felt it was like I really needed it, but at the same time I didn't like the fact that I needed it, if it made sense, because I didn't feel all that great mentally, emotionally, and then it played on me physically even, and I was just exhausted and drained, but I just had to sit in it and just allow myself to rest. And I think that that's really important. So I'm just going to say that when it comes to your body, listen to it. When it comes to your intuition, listen to it. But anyway, we're back. So here we go. Now before we do get started, I just thought it would be a good idea to highlight that when it comes to blending, okay, so we'd be talking about how it's good to break all of these things down. So the planet, the sign, the houses. So it's good to break them all down and then blend them together. So we have been discussing this blending and breaking down process throughout these videos. Though still, what I would like to highlight here is that you can get a lot of information from the planet that's in the sign, and also the planet that's in the house separately. So say it's Saturn in Pisces, you're going to get a lot of information from that. Or it's Saturn in the second house, you're going to get a lot of information from Saturn, Pisces, and also Saturn in the second house. But then it's still good to blend it all together anyway with Saturn in Pisces in the second house to make it more particular to that person or to that chart. So I hope that made sense. Another thing that I would like to mention as well before we do get into today's video is intuition. Because the thing is that throughout these videos so far is that I've been discussing a couple of possible examples for these placements that I have used in order to explain how to read a birth chart. But the thing is, guys, is that whenever you do look at that chart and that one placement pops out at you, that could be your intuition guiding you to that certain part. So with that, I also would say that intuition is also very important when it comes to reading a birth chart. But I also think that from the more information, the more research, the more data that you collect and you gather when it comes to astrology, the better your intuition is going to get. As I do think that our intuition, it can go hand in hand with the information that we're learning. Because when you're gathering up all this information, you're expanding all of the things that you know, all that knowledge, and it's just going into your unconscious. It's just loading. You're just filing it back there. But then your intuition steps in and it's like, it sort of scans it all and it says, yep, that's the one, go. That's what we're going to use. So yeah, when it comes to intuition, let it guide you, listen to it, but at the same time, don't stop learning, guys. And also experiences, right? So you could read all of this information in theory, but when it comes to real life situations and experiences that you have with other people out and about in your day-to-day, that is also something to look out for. And also keep in mind that, you know what, everyone is super different and unique in how they manifest the energies. So just remember that, because even a moon in Aries person may manifest that energy in a different way to another moon in Aries person. One more super quick thing before we get into today's video as well is that, I should have mentioned this in the first video, is that the first 6 houses, so the houses here below the horizon, the first 6, they are personal houses. And then the top 6 above the horizon, so it goes like this, above the horizon, houses 7 to 12, they're interpersonal houses. Okay guys, so with all of that out of the way, let's get into today's video. This is the second part to the intermediate section. In the first part of the intermediate section, we talked about interceptions, duplicated signs, and retrogrades. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about stelliums, your chart ruler, and dominant signs and planets. The stelliums. What exactly is a stellium? A stellium is ultimately when there are 3 or 4 or more planets that are placed in one sign or one house. The reason why I say 3 or 4 is because some astrologers associate a stellium with 3 planets, others associate it with 4 planets. Other astrologers even suggest that if it's generational planets within the sign, it doesn't really count. I mean, for example, I have Uranus, Neptune, they're both generational planets. They're in the sign of Capricorn, along with my Venus and my Mars, which are more personal planets, okay? They're the inner planets. So that's 4 planets, making it a stellium in Capricorn. Some astrologers may disagree with that because there's Neptune and Uranus there. But my understanding, my sort of belief in that is that it doesn't really matter what planet it is. And I also do believe that it's 4. That's just an opinion that I personally have. So you know how we've been talking about the planets as actors and the signs as characters and the houses as stage sets throughout these videos? Well, when it comes to stelliums, it's kind of like there are so many actors trying to play the same character, so to speak, if it's within the same sign, or if it's within the same house, it's kind of like the actors are trying to take the same stage. So much energy that's just being shot into that one sign or that one house, and what it does is it just builds up so much momentum. It almost feels like there's pressure. There's this pressure being placed on this individual to achieve within that area, or to own that energy and to really utilize it to their benefit. It almost becomes overwhelming for them. So I think that if you do have a stellium, for one, it's about being able to utilize that energy effectively to your benefit. But at the same time, it's also about going to the sign or the house opposite and learning how to balance that energy out, because there is so much built up there. Because if in fact they are on that axis, 2 sides of the same coin, it's becoming very one-sided, but it's also being able to embrace that opposite side, that other part of you in that sense. So if there's all of this energy going on in one sign or house, it's good to help release it and balance it. Giving breathing space here, allowing other characters to come on, or allowing other stage sets to be embraced and used. A great way to explain this then is that we're going to use the same chart that we looked at in the previous video, because it just so happens that this same person who has the interception in Leo and Aquarius, as explained before, they also have a stellium in the sign of Capricorn. They have gee whiz. I never said gee whiz. Anyway. Golly gee! Oh my gosh! Sorry. They have Uranus, Neptune, Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. Look at that. Look at that. 6 planets. All in the sign of Capricorn, eh? So not only is there a lot of pressure going into this sign where it's almost all consuming for this person, right? But they also have their moon in the sign of Cancer, which is opposite. And as we explained in the previous video, they have Saturn, which is intercepted. So with this particular stellium, just to sort of give you some sort of insight into how it can work, with this Capricorn stellium, Saturn, the ruling planet of Capricorn, being intercepted in that 3rd house, perhaps, just perhaps, this in turn can help, and the Capricorn stellium can help with the Saturn interception as well. Because already what we notice with these 6 planets in the sign of Capricorn is that this person exuberates so much of that Capricorn energy. But they must accept that they have the potential to overcome these obstacles, that they have what it takes to climb that mountain, so to speak, towards what success means to them. What does success mean to them? But at the same time, they must also learn to step back and breathe. Okay? There is so much pressure built up here in this sign of Capricorn where they may think that they have to achieve. I feel pushed. I feel so obligated to do this. And so what it's doing is it's pushing really hard on them, right? But because Saturn is intercepted, they feel like everything's turned against them, and it's like they convince themselves, I'm not doing enough. Like I know that there's something I need to do out there. There's something huge, something massive, and I need it for myself. I need this life. I need this security. I need to achieve for myself. But they don't feel like they're enough. They're like, oh, but I can't. I'm not worthy. I can't do this. I don't have what it takes. But I know at the same time something's in me to do this. But I feel helpless. I feel lost. I don't know. And so they can become depressed. They can beat themselves up. They can get into these negative thought processes where they think they're just not good enough because they're not measuring up to this idea of success that they've built in their minds, or the idea of success that even their father built in their mind, because of the fact that Saturn is intercepted. Because it could be that the father maybe pushed on them. Maybe they feel like the father doesn't think they're good enough. Not necessarily saying that the father did do this, but perhaps actions from the father made them believe or think that he did think these things about them. And this is essentially why it is so important for this person to step back and realize that this achieving, this amounting to something, it's not what life is about. That there is so much more to life, there is so much more to them, as they are already. And it's about them developing, like I said in the previous video, this deeper understanding and this love towards who they are. Who they are, and embracing who they are now. And accepting that who they are right now is enough. This person needs to realize that they are worthy. That just because there is a title or some sort of social status, it doesn't mean that they are any more than anybody else, or that because they don't have that title yet, that they're any less than anybody else. We're fed this hierarchy thing, right? This whole people at the top, people at the bottom, and it's like if you're at the top, you got more money, you got a better job, then you're like you're better, you're more successful, like let's all look up to them, well done. Yes, it is amazing to see when people achieve things and to be like, well done, great job. But it doesn't mean that we should set ourselves up higher and be like, ho ho ho, I'm way up here, like I'm way up here and they're way down there. No. Now I'm not saying that this person does that, but there is a pressure, remember. There's a push to achieve and to be something, to make something of themselves. This is a very similar situation with myself. I also have a Capricorn stellium. Now, I don't have 6 planets, so I can't imagine what this person feels. I have 4 planets. But I too am also learning some of these lessons. Okay? That when I look across at the opposite sign of Cancer, okay? We're looking across at the opposite signs here with these stelliums. It's about myself and also this person going across to Cancer and being like, you know what? I'm gonna go easy on myself. I'm gonna nurture and care for myself. I'm gonna validate my emotions and my feelings. Not have to keep doing and striving, but remaining in the flow of life and being able to allow the currents to take me to where it needs to go and trusting in my intuition rather than this person becoming rigid and overly structured where they just see things as black and white. It's not this straight line to success like, woo! It's like, bum ba-dum 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 ba-dum. That life takes us in its currents. It's about them allowing themselves to be vulnerable and to care for their overall well-being. It's so funny because, like, guys, what I'm explaining right now is basically what happened to me this past week. I can see that. I can see how I can push myself so much. It's been a year since I've had a week off where I've literally done nothing. And this past week has been a week where I really felt I needed it. But still, the fact that this person also has their moon in Cancer, right, opposite their Capricorn stellium, it's about them balancing the family life with their purpose or their career. Maybe caring for others can be their purpose. Ultimately, guys, it's important for this person, right? So if you have a stellium in whatever sign, it's important for you to develop strength and talents that come along, with those clusters of planets or with that stellium. But at the same time, it's not about being consumed by them, okay? So it's this mastery of the stellium, but not an obsessiveness of the stellium. Particularly for a person with a Capricorn stellium, it's learning to let go and to appreciate the gifts that they already have, that they are here for a reason, and to not place such high standards on themselves, but rather learning to love themselves regardless of achievements. But at the same time, loving themselves enough to say that they are good enough to achieve what they want and to live out their purpose. Alright, moving on to the chart ruler. So what exactly do I mean by the chart ruler? In a nutshell, the chart ruler leads your chart forward. So, for example, right, we're going to use this chart right here. Where you look to first is the rising sign, because the chart ruler is the planet that rules your rising sign. Your rising sign is always going to be located at the very beginning, the first house. So this person has their ascendant, which is in the sign of Taurus, because there's the symbol of Taurus. And then what you'll notice from all your notes, right, you will notice that, I've written down here actually, Taurus, I've written it here, Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, okay? It's ruled by Venus. Therefore, for this person, their chart ruler is Venus. So for your own studies, assess what exactly is the ascendant or the rising sign. So there's two words for that. There's the ascendant AC, but then it's also referred to as the rising sign because it's the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon during the time of your birth. The rising sign maps out your life path because you start with the rising and then it goes all the way up and around. Begins this whole journey towards self-discovery. It is the lens through which we view the world. It's how we fit into the world. It's what people see when they first meet us, and it's to do with our own individual appearance and physical bodies. I would just like to highlight here that there is some information out there to suggest that whatever your ruling planet is, so for this person, Venus, wherever Venus is placed then in the chart, or wherever your chart ruler is placed within your chart, where that's located, that can tell you a lot about your physical appearance. Be within your best interest to look up the qualities associated with the sign, so that can help explain how you might fit into the world and how the story might unfold for you. Then it's also a good idea to look up the function or the energy associated with the planet, with that chart ruler. Hope you're keeping up with me here. And then, as I say, where is that planet? Where is that chart ruler in your birth chart? So for this one, we have Taurus rising. Taurus rising, sensual, steady, calm, pleasurable, patient, and practical. What exactly are some of the functions of Venus in simple terms? Venus is about value. It magnetically attracts. It's about harmony. It's beauty. It's about sharing and cooperation and peace and grace and finances and how we show love within a relationship. What's also important to note here is that Venus rules both Taurus and Libra. And with this instance, because this person has a Taurus rising, this is the earth side. So there's the earth side of Venus, and then there's the air side of Venus, because Libra is an air sign and Taurus is the earth sign. The earth side of Venus ultimately values stability and sensuality in some very, very simple terms. But with this particular person, they're going to be grounded and steady in their approach to life. Their life path is going to be that of pleasure. And they're going to want to attract to them tangible results, because Earth is about the tangible, the physical. But then we take this a step further and we notice that Venus is within the sign of Virgo. Here, it's in Virgo, in the 5th house. What exactly does Venus in Virgo mean in simple terms? Well, it's going to show that this person is going to show this loyalty and devotion to their partner by being of service to them, by helping them, by helping them solve their problems practically. They're also going to be very patient while doing so. And they're going to do it rather elegantly as well. They are going to refine their partners or others by analysing them and then providing them with some reliable whilst also adjustable advice. This reliability, I think, comes from the Taurus, okay, because they still have that Taurus energy. All right, your rising sign energy still there. So there's the reliability side with Taurus, but then there's also that adjustability, the mutability with Virgo. Though they might just worry or become rather fussy if they don't feel secure in the relationship, because they still want to feel that security. This is Venus ruling their chart, but it's the Venus in Virgo that can make them worried and anxious and nervous, and they just want it to be perfect. So that's sort of a blending happening between the Taurus rising with Venus being the chart ruler, putting it into the sign of Virgo, and how that can play within their life and within their relationships. And if we blend this even more, Venus in the 5th house, what could that mean? Well, this is going to be playing out through their self-expression for a start. The 5th house is also connected with dating. So again, with Venus in this 5th house, they might really love to date, right? But at the same time, they're going to be very choosy and picky into who they do want to date. But the fact that even Leo, right, because you also look at the sign, as explained before, you look at the sign that is ruling the house. It's also good to assess that. And from that, we notice that a lot of their essence, a lot of their spirit goes into this. They feel these things to be extremely important for them because their ego says it to be so. I am to be appreciated within this relationship. And if I am, I'm going to feel secure, because security means a lot to me. And when it comes to children, because the 5th house is connected with children as well, well, children might be intellectual Phoenician types. This person might teach his or her children elegance, how to be clean, how to be well mannered. And they're going to make sure to schedule quality time with their children. And they're going to really want to make their children feel valued and worthy and special. Moving on then to the final section of today's video, we are going to be discussing these dominant signs and planets. Now, I have made 2 videos in the past addressing dominant signs and planets. I'm going to link them somewhere, both in this video, so you can watch those. But when it does come to these, what I personally like to do is, when I'm conducting readings, I focus on the top 3 dominant signs and planets, but it can also depend on the strength. And on that note, guys, it's also good to address the elements and the modes. So what powers, what element and mode powers are playing out within the birth chart collectively as well. And what's really great is that you can access this information through, for example, we're just going to be using astro.com. I'm going to show you here. The way you access on astro.com, okay, you go to, I'm going to put the instructions in the description box as well. I've done that before. So you go to astro.com, you go to the extended chart, then you go to Pullen, P-U-L-L-E-N / Astrology, but there's no Y at the end. And then you go to Simple Chart Delineation by Walter Pullen. What that brings up is this huge script, this transcript of information, but you keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling, and you'll come to something that looks like this. So what you'll notice is there are numbers down the side here. These are the numbers that you take into consideration. Yes, there's numbers here, and you may think, oh, that means it, but no, it's this one here on the right hand side. This particular person's transcript or their report is they have Saturn with 16.1%, so that's their dominant planet. And then if we go down to the bottom, you'll see the signs here. Their most dominant sign is Virgo, says number 1, and 19.7% there. Look over to the right hand side, you'll notice you have the element powers and the mode powers, and that'll show the strongest percentage of the elements and the modes. Their strongest element is Earth with 35.3%, and their strongest mode is mutable with 37.3% there, as you can see. I'll put it like that. Personally, what I like to do when I read a birth chart is I like to have this report in front of me, and then I also like to have the chart so I can myself, right, I can analyze and assess why this was formulated. Why is that? And I can try and find the common links in here. That also will help me and will help you too if you're reading a chart, how to notice how this is created for yourself. Okay, so what exactly is a dominant sign? So the dominant sign within your chart, that has the most influence on your full natal chart. It represents the main energy manifesting in your personality. It's very similar to the chart ruler as explained, but whilst the chart ruler leads your chart forward, the dominant sign sort of is already there within the psyche. It's sort of manifested into the overall personality. But then with the dominant planet, the sign is playing out through that planet. A good thing to keep in mind as well is that when it does come to dominant signs and planets is that they can be determined by many factors, such as your sun sign, the sign where your chart ruler is positioned in. Okay, so say your chart ruler is Venus and you have your Venus in Virgo. Maybe Virgo is a dominant sign for you because of that position. Stelliums as well, of course, as discussed today. We did talk about how the example we used with this person having 6 planets in the sign of Capricorn, most likely than not, their most dominant sign is going to be Capricorn. Even the ruler of the midheaven can give an indication, or even rulers of those angular houses, because those angular houses are those houses that start, they're the ones that pack a punch. And when it does come to the dominant planets, especially, aspects being made to that planet can really play into whether or not that planet is most dominant. So if you have tons of major aspects, especially to your Mercury, most likely you're going to be dominant in Mercury. Or if you have loads of aspects being made to Mars, you're probably going to be a Mars dominant. So there are just a couple of things to look out for when it comes to dominant signs and dominant planets. Quick thing as well, just to wrap this up, is that when it comes to your element powers and your mode powers, if you do happen to see that there's a very low percentage in an element or a mode, like say for example someone only has 12% fire, but then they have like in the 30s for air and water, it would be a good idea to assess where in the chart is showing that sort of lower amount of fire. Why is that happening? It can maybe be that their Mars is intercepted, their Jupiter is intercepted, their Sun is intercepted, maybe they don't have many planets in Aries or Leo or Sagittarius, maybe they don't have many planets in the 1st house, the 5th house, or the 9th house. So it's being able to assess where it's happening and then how you can go about helping that person bring more of that fire, yield that fire energy. So if I have a client that comes to me and they say to me, oh my gosh, I don't really feel all that motivated, I don't feel like I know how to go after what I want in life, I, as the astrologer, go to the chart and see, okay, why is this? I see why, now let's go from here and help you. But it's still up to the person to decide for themselves if what I'm saying resonates with them, okay? Please, like, you have to reflect on the information that's being provided. Don't just take everything at face value, really reflect on the information and assess, okay, does this resonate? Does it not resonate? Okay guys, so that concludes the second part to the intermediate section of these videos of how to read your birth chart. Thank you all so much for watching as always, thank you for subscribing, and stay tuned for the advanced section of the videos. And I will be back with that video very, very soon. Bye!